Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Tavern Talk with Tyler. And
Um,
I'm joined by my good friend Beau.
Hey there.
What is up? Yes, I understand we're having some camera. We're standing up, not sitting down. There we go. So that way we can be standing out here. Welcome. We're in the outdoor tavern, as you can see on the backyard. We have a table set up. We have been skeet shooting today.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
You came in last place?
I came in last place, but did very well. I was amongst exemplary shooters, and I did very well for one of you. But yeah, I got last place.
You had a 20 gauge that didn't help you at all.
What's wrong with the 20 gauge?
20 gauge is fine, but some of those were far away, and you didn't have a choke.
That's true. I didn't have a choke because about 7 years ago, I never cleaned my shotgun and shot the choke clean out of it, so it doesn't even have threads for a choke. I'm going to be enjoying a cigar. Beau is going to not partake. He's got CLP all over his hands. We're going to clean the other shotgun here in a minute. And we are here. We are here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Just shooting the shit.
We went to Nashville Gun Club, and it was a fantastic day out.
Cannot recommend Nashville Gun Club enough.
That was awesome.
So apparently, they've been around since 1867, disbanded sometime in the 1890s or whatever, and then reassociated in 1994.
Did you catch if it was a family farm?
I did not, but that place is on the Cumberland River, just outside of town in what's commonly known as White's Creek, I think. And it's just a huge, giant, sprawling riverfront property that's pretty much useless because it's on a cliff, and you would have to excavate very heavily to make that into any kind of like wharf or dock, and it really wouldn't be useless. But for shooting guns, it's amazing. I don't know why I'm looking at the microphone instead of at the camera, because the camera's right here, and I'm looking at the microphone.
Yep.
And hopefully you guys can hear us just fine. This condenser mic is amazing. Just I haven't used it in an outdoor setting like this yet, but it seems to do pretty well.
The light's great to check all of these little nasty bits.
Yeah, he's like, we need something with bright light. I'm like, you know what has bright light?
Every camera I own.
All right, and also, we're not going to be able to see if you guys are commenting, unfortunately, right at this moment, because we're over here.
This one is about done. This is my Remington 870 that did very well today. It did about 200 rounds and one jam for someone that didn't rack it right. And I've had it for 5-6 years, probably done 1,000 rounds through it and not a single hiccup.
It was Rustin. Don't worry. He doesn't watch this. He doesn't watch this podcast. He just didn't. He didn't go all the way forward with the slide. Caused a slight malfunction, but got it all going. You got what? Magpul furniture on this thing?
Magpul furniture.
12 gauge, obviously.
Yes.
Tobacco tastes so good.
We had quite a bit of tobacco today.
So it was kind of like a pre-bachelor kind of party for you?
Yes. I'm getting married in 3 weeks, and I am sweating. Not because I'm out of shape, because it is coming down the pipe.
And what day are you getting married on?
So my fiance, future wife, is a Marine, and we have the Marine Corps birthday on the 10th.
Yep.
Rehearsal party on the 11th.
Veterans Day,
married on the 12th. So it's going to be a blast.
So his wife,
pun intended.
His wife to be basically just wanted to make sure he'd never forget their anniversary. And it was like, on my motherfucking Marine Corps birthday. Thank you, Chesty.
Chesty.
I mean, his dog's name is Doc, for Christ's sake.
Doc Holliday. He was almost Chesty.
Well, I say Doc like as in Corman Doc. So,
got you. Okay, so now we are putting the
870 back together. Well, they can't see the table, so if you can hold it up to here.
Sure. So we got our bolt carrier here.
It literally is like I've never taken apart my 878. Well, I have an 88, a Mossberg, but it's very similar.
Yeah.
I've never taken it all the way apart, and apparently the boat carrier is literally a carrier.
Yeah.
It's a plate.
You got your forearm grip or forehand grip here that this sets on.
Yep.
Let's see if I can get it to go. There we go. So that goes one. This goes two. and that goes into your gun.
That's exactly what a shotgun is. That's
it.
That's all
That's
a shotgun is.
It is a beautiful, simple mechanism that you could throw it in a river and let it sit at the bottom of the river for 100 years with a shell in it. Take it out, and it'll probably still fire.
Probably.
All right.
That's why I love shotguns. I'm a slug guy. I like shooting slugs. When I was on the ranch in Texas, all I did was shoot slugs at stuff. Pop cans. Did I just say pop cans? I've never said pop cans in my life.
Pop cans?
Never said pop cans
Oh
before.
my God.
Did you get that rough patch out on the barrel?
Kind of. I don't like it, but
it's never going to be shiny.
I don't think it's going to ever be right again.
So in the barrel, Beau is worried. He keeps this thing immaculate, by the way. Like
rainbow.
So
when you look down a barrel, I want to see a rainbow.
So he's looking down the barrel here, and he's like, oh, it's shiny all the way through. And then he's looking right here on the very end, and he's like, there's a rough patch right here. And I told him, I said, that's where the explosion happens, and you're going to have a lot less. Your polymer is not going to be as shiny.
I'll do this for everybody on the internet.
There we go. On the internets.com.
I got it.
He got it.
This slides in, and then there are 2 tabs under here that you got to press in opposite
you
directions.
Press the slide release, and you have to push the ejector cover, the breech cover, up at the same time to get it to go in.
It goes in. And then because of my hardware and furniture, I got to play around with how the barrel sits in here.
Clean this off real quick.
Yes, thank you.
This is the tube nut. This CLP smells great. I don't know if you guys ever heard of
Sage and Breaker.
Sage and Baker. You can't read it because the light is too bright. There it goes. Sage and Breaker. This CLP smells like lemons.
Lemons?
It's beautiful.
It comes with an awesome case that rolls up and keeps everything in it.
Oh yeah, it unrolls like if you've ever seen the movie The Mummy.
All set. All done.
Rick O'Connell has that canvas case that he flaps open. He's got his two revolvers and a shotgun in there. That's exactly what this thing is rolled up in. It's a leather case with brass buckles and really thick canvas not canvas cloth, but like quilted
cotton,
like maybe flannel even. I would even call it almost like a flannel.
But it works great. It's nice and soft on your
Not
gun.
a sponsor, but if you want to throw some our way, Sage and Breaker.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor.
I'm happy. I think that's pretty pristine. Ready to go next time.
I had some beech nut today for the first time in like 10 years.
I'll throw that in the so that's 1 down, 2 to go, or 1 to go?
Well, I want you to show this one.
Yeah.
Mine is not very important to clean. So tell people about this as I'm pulling it out.
Since I'm getting married, I got myself a wedding present. I do a lot of sporting clay shooting, and this is my first over-under shotgun. Beautiful. It is a Browning Synergy. Beautiful gun. I had a lot of fun with it today. It cycled great.
Show them the top.
Oh, how it breaks? You got a lever action.
Lever action brake. Ejectors. Stationary ejectors. Double-sided safety.
So, yeah, you got your... When it says S, if you can see that, it says S. Safety's on. Safety's off. O means over. So the top barrel would shoot. You change it to under would shoot first. And you also have 3 different choke tubes. So if you know that the pigeon is flying close first,
yep,
you're definitely going to want to do your over barrel that's going to have a wider spread. And if the first one's flying out, do the under first. Pretty simple.
So for those of you that know how chokes work, so chokes is a system that you would use in a shotgun. It's literally a tube. It's about this long that you put in and twist it on, and you tighten it with a tool. And what it does is it actually either tightens, it controls the pattern of the shot that's coming out. So we're using clay shot. Me personally, I was using number 9, which is pretty small. It's like the smallest kind of clay shot you can use, just smaller than Dove shot. And what a choke will do is instead of your pattern coming out the exact size of the diameter of your bore, it'll be a little bit smaller, so it comes out in a tighter pattern and will spread in a certain way. And tight chokes, what is it, full choke?
It goes cylinder, improved cylinder, full.
Holy crap.
Modified and full?
Modified. I know there's modified.
Improved,
modified and full are the only 2 chokes I've ever used.
There's an improved modified.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. The 2 I have in right now are modified and full.
So that full choke would be for that farther distance shot. It keeps the pattern much tighter so that it will stay together at a longer distance, because when you only have a bead on these things. These things only literally have 2 beads, no sights, really, no iron sights to speak of. So it's just line of sight.
This one's nice because you actually have a bead up front and a bead in the center.
Yeah,
so
mine does.
Normally,
as well.
you just have a bead up there. You try to eyeball with the one. You actually have
the newer shotguns will have 2 beads. Yeah.
So these are nice. They got little grips on these, so they twist right off.
Oh, unlike the other one where you need a tool.
And I greased these up before we went, so they slip out nice.
And the other thing that the Sage and Breaker has is this really cool button together CLP basin, and it's hard leather on the inside and canvas on the outside, so you can button it together into a tray if you want to soak, spray. That way you're not going to get this. You're not going to get this beautiful quilt all messed up. Sage and Breaker, you guys are not sponsored. You should be. You at this point you should be. You got a beautiful pick and brush kit. It's got 4 brushes.
Grease.
We got swabs. Look at these swabs. First of all, I'm gonna show the detail on these swabs. That's what's great about a podcast, because it gives you a reason to like show things off. So you get a double-sided swab, you get the regular cotton, and then you get that really to get in the nitty-gritty. Really in there, man.
Oh, there's pipe cleaners in there too.
Oh yeah, pipe cleaners. Oh, that's the grease.
That's the grease. There, I think it's still in there. All right, so we're gonna take the foregrip off. Just this little button here.
Actual wood. Oh yeah, look at this. So. Look at this, all wood construction on the inside. Beautiful. Oh,
so
can't beat that.
That's the synergy is actually really interesting, and you probably didn't notice it when you were holding it, but a lot of over-unders, the whole hinging mechanism is actually under the barrel.
Yeah.
So this is actually the shortest receiver.
I would call it a receiver, yeah.
On the market. So this is like this.
So usually it would be like up here.
Right.
So you would have technically less barrel, or same amount of barrel.
All of this would just be thicker.
I see.
Yeah. So now that the foregrip's off, when you break it, it all comes apart. Super simple.
And this is all one piece, right? So this is. I'm looking at this.
You can take it apart.
I've never taken it over under apart, and we're not going to take this any further apart here. But you can see that carrier and the actual bolt mechanism is right here, like the other shotgun we were talking about. All one piece, and you're gonna need tools to take this apart.
Yeah,
but this is beautiful.
We're not going to.
You can see the ejectors there. So as the shotgun shell is fired, it actually will push back a little bit, and the lip of a shotgun shell will catch on these little. They're actually kind of sharp, almost like razors, and it'll catch right here. So when you break it open, these actually, through like just regular gravity inertia, pushes them out.
No, it's these springs here.
The springs are pushing.
It's actually part of the whole hinging mechanism and the foregrip.
So these actually push out a little bit and they click back into place.
The spring right here is everything that pushes it out.
That's even cooler.
Yeah. It's very slick.
So I was close. I was close to my deduction. But if you've ever seen an old timey shotgun over under, and when they break it open and the shells go pink and they pop out.
So again, we are going to CLP everything.
All right.
So
now, before you do that, let us cheers, because in the
Absolutely.
tavern we drink.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Welcome to the tavern.
It was a good day.
It was a good day.
All right. So choke tubes get CLP. Boom, boom. I'm actually going to put a little bit in here because
there is a piece of metal that runs through here.
It is a piece of metal, and for some reason mine catches a little bit. It shouldn't, but I when I picked it up from Bass Pro, it happened, and I just put a little bit in there.
It says Cabela's on it. Oh, you just got a Cabela's case.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And it's gonna go all in here. 2 squirts.
I'm gonna be more of an observer in this capacity because it's not my shotgun, and also I don't really know too much about it. So he's putting some CLP in the bore. We're going to get the bore snake out here in a minute.
You're going to want to let this sit for a couple minutes too, so we can drink and smoke while we talk.
And it'll spread out.
The CLP breaks down all the gunpowder, the grease, the dirt. You can spray this on the outside. It keeps everything from rusting, and
it's not going to harm your wood or anything. You're going to be able to wipe it down with a cloth. You don't want to leave too much CLP because that's going to be a medium to catch what we call carbon, which is basically just gunpowder and dirt and dust, and everything that's expelled from the gunpowder exploding. So if you don't, like I was telling Beau about the way I clean my shotgun is different than his. So, and we had almost had a little debate about this. So If you have a brand new shotgun and you strip it down and clean it every single time you shoot, you kind of have to keep doing that every time. Because if you, like me, I'll shoot it 2-3 times, I'll oil and rub the places that need it, and then I'll probably do a deep clean maybe once a year. But that deep clean is nowhere near as meticulous as this is going to get, because you get what I call dark spots. You're going to get spots where the carbon will build up, and if you don't get at those, it's going to cause rub spots, and it's going to deteriorate your bolt. It's going to deteriorate any of the action, any of the parts that actually move are going to get rubbed in a way it just degrades it faster. Now, yes, these things will last forever, but in the context of a lifetime, you don't want to have to buy another shotgun.
100%.
Especially
this one. This is an heirloom gun. This is something that I will give to my kids if and when they come around. This is something that when I go shooting, I plan on cleaning after. That is part of my day. It's like, hey, you play all day, you got to put your toys away. And when I put my toys away, I don't want shit all over them. And I understand that. I wholeheartedly agree that you get a positive patina when you don't clean. I agree, and it'll spread out naturally. It'll take the CLP and the grease and put it where it needs to be as you're using it, as you're opening it and breaking it, as you're racking it. Me, I go back to box brand new every time I'm using it. That's just how I operate. All right, so it's been sitting for 2 minutes or so.
I'm gonna check the comments on my phone to see if anybody's. So if you listen to our talk to myself and my other buddy Tanner, our 3-hour talk where we were talking about a very specific book. I was telling you guys about it today about leisure and about like right now, what we're doing right now can be considered leisure, even though yes, we're doing a podcast, but it's more ancillary to what we would be having this conversation naturally anyway.
Regardless.
The only thing that's inorganic is just the recording process.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, we would be doing this anyway. And the what I think is the meditation portion of leisure is to do something that's useless, to do something that's going to occupy it doesn't even need to occupy your hands and minds. You can just sit. But if you are going to do something, it has nothing to do with your life. It's not going to improve.
I'll take a tangent on that.
Go for it.
Flow state.
Ooh.
So
Explain.
To me, I draw in 3D. I'm in architecture. So my flow state is when I can sit down and I can draw this identically in 3D on a computer. Mm-hmm. That is my flow state. That I will say is a form of leisure, but it's also work.
You can do work and leisure at the same. That's as people would say.
That's called a flow state, right?
I guess there's a new term for it. I've never heard that, but that does make sense.
Yeah.
Work can be leisure, but in its most basic sense, leisure is just contemplation.
But I'll say my leisure is that same feeling of flow state where you just lose sense of time, but I'm not doing anything.
I just realized that there's not going to be any comments because we're just recording now. It's not live. So later on, if you watch this, go ahead and comment. Let us know if we do anything wrong or say anything dumb. Fact check us in the comments. Yeah. We need those fact checkers.
All right. Let's go ahead and just brush these down, and then they'll sit.
I'm gonna help you brush this because a little bit of CLP never hurt nobody. You might get them in my mouth, totally fine. I've probably drank more CLP
than most.
And you don't need to talk the whole time. This is fucking just really nice. And if you're hearing a faint sound of music in the background, that's our rock mix that we got going on.
I'm going to put these back in and run the bore snake.
Do you want to run it through the chokes? Because that would be the
actually, yeah. Let's do the bore.
We'll do bore snake on it naked, and then put the chokes in after before you put together, and then run it one more time.
I'm going to do bore snake through this. Put it back.
Oh, you're going to? Okay.
Put a bore snake through this. Put those back in.
Got it.
And then they should be good.
Okay.
So
show them the bore snake.
Bore snake. This is, I think all of them have a brush on them.
Some of them do, some of them don't. You can get just a cloth bore snake.
This actually detaches right here, so you can do just the brush or just the cloth.
And I'm guessing you have cleaning rods. Are there cleaning rods in here?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have them. I had the hops.
That probably does connect to a standard size cleaning rod that you can just brush.
It does. And I had a hops, normal ramrod, whatever you call it.
Car
ramrod. And I hated it. I couldn't stand it. This should go the other way. Does it matter at the choke?
On the choke, it doesn't. Yeah. If you want to go, but you always want to go brush first and pull through.
Well, you want to go from the stock end to the tip.
Right. So you're going to start where the most dirt happens. And you know what? You could, if you have rifling it matters more. This is a smooth bore. You could run it either way. But on a rifling, yeah, you would put it in one direction and always pull the same direction. And if you have patches, which this doesn't, because there's really no there's no rifling to speak of. You don't have any of the grooves. The rifling is the grooves inside of a rifle. That's why they call it rifling.
You know what would have been really bitching? Is that Comet tonight or last night?
Oh no, it was the meteor shower, and it was last night.
I was gonna say that would have been a good backdrop.
We don't get it. We got a lot of light pollution out here.
This is my caliber. Pun intended again.
To my caliber of cleanness. I can see the rainbow on that.
You should
polymer.
Always see a rainbow in any type of barrel, in my opinion. Whenever you can help it.
Maybe not my rifle. Man, I'm so paranoid about that.
I'm
just set in my ways. I guess I'm just set in my ways.
You're paranoid about what?
About getting your especially in rifling, like in my rifle, getting it super duper duper clean, like factory clean. I feel like you said, there's a patina. There's the way it wears. It does, and also it's probably so minute that it only would matter if you're shooting competition, things like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think
with shot, it's got to be different because you need that thing with a smooth bore. I think that makes the most sense, and I'm coming to that realization. You want that bore to be as clean as possible to carry that shot as smoothly as it can.
Yep.
And because these things do technically sit, I mean, there is a lip at the bottom of them. So, shot is continually hitting that lip. And if you're not cleaning that, that's where your buildup is really going to happen. Yep. As I was telling Beau today, my Model 88 Maverick, my 20 gauge, I actually shot it so much that I shot the choke right out of it because it filled up with carbon. And then one day it just, never found it.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying. I also told him a really messed up story about how I blew a shotgun up and it nicked the artery in my neck and I had to cover it up. It was the smallest razor cut. And I was, I don't know, an hour or so from a hospital where I lived. Could have died.
That's terrifying. You were probably a millimeter or two from bleeding out.
Easily. It bled quite a bit. Even though I managed to put my hand on it enough that luckily I was with another Army vet and he was like medically trained and he was like, holy shit. There it goes. Oh yeah. Slower, you slut.
Yep.
This thing is beautiful.
Slow, smooth as fast.
That's right, baby. I'm gonna get this metal part in here.
Yeah. Yeah, it just hangs up on here for some reason.
Just on the mechanisms.
Cigar smells good.
It does.
What kind is it? Do you know?
This is a Rocky Patel Ye Old World Reserve. Okay. And they usually retail for a couple $100 a box. But these are what I believe are their imperfections. So they're slightly shorter, slightly longer, wrapped inconsistently.
Sweet.
So they retail for $60 a box.
Nice.
Well, they don't come in a box.
I've just been getting the worst hangovers when I'm drinking and smoking cigars. So I got to pick and choose my days that I smoke wisely. Yeah, interesting. This has the same spot.
I'm telling you that because that's the portion that explodes. Yeah, so, oh, wow.
Honestly, I think it was some of the shot we were using today. It's probably my super expensive shot that I paid extra money for.
So we were saying earlier, I don't know if I said it out loud, or if I said it before, but there is a portion of the barrel where the main part of the explosion happens, where it's exiting the shot shell, and it gets worn the most in that one spot, and then because of the explosion.
Yeah.
So it's expanding.
Well, I got high velocity rounds.
Aha. So it's running a little hot.
And this was the first time I've used those, and this is the first time I'm seeing these spots on either gun.
So luckily, I mean, we were shooting maybe 4 to 6 shots per target with a 5 to 10 minute walk between the target areas. Nashville Gun Club. Let's talk a little bit about that, man. They have a beautiful complex. There are several different portions to it. It's a huge sprawling ranch.
They had a lake range,
on the river, yeah.
big range. They have 5 stand. They have trap and skeet, and that might be it.
So we were on the main range, what they call the large range, and on the large range, it's all in a circle. So you start on one end, and there'll be a target. They have different colors. Today they were actually having a competition, so I think we did manage to get to almost every single target face.
Yes.
But we had to skip around a little bit, and you can walk or drive. And the cool part is they have golf carts. You can get in a golf cart and drive it, or you can drive it in your vehicle.
Or
and
walk.
Gosh, how many people? There had to have been, what, 100 people?
Easy.
100 people there. Did not feel crowded. Everybody was very polite. If you were at a target face and they were doing the kind of same thing, we were having like a competition. They were like, hey, is it cool if we play through? It's like golf.
So if you're looking for a bachelor party of sorts or event, birthday party, a corporate outing like they had today, they were smoking meats for 24 hours.
They have an event space with a full bar.
Lots of cool clothes.
Inside and outside. And the outside has roll-up doors. So you can have the outside environment when it's a little colder. They close the doors. But you could easily hold 200 people there. And it would be no problem to have an event. Hey, Nashville Gun Club. Not sponsor. Not sponsor, but hey.
Had a blast.
Had an absolute blast. First time there. Let's see if we can't remember the pricing. So
yeah.
To be a member there, so it's what, $57 per clay?
What the hell? Oh, it came apart again.
So you have so the way they do it is they don't charge you up front. You actually pay at the end when you're done. They give you an RFID card, and you walk up. There's a mechanism. You put your card into it, and it counts the number of clays that you shoot at any given target. So your total number of shots, it's about 57 cents per clay.
Less.
Is it less?
It was less than 50 cents, I believe. And then if you have a membership, it was like 30-some cents.
Yeah, 30 cents. So that's what the membership gets you, because the clays aren't worth that, but it goes towards maintenance. They had a very good staff that were very present. The range safety officers were coming by constantly. The guys that were doing the maintenance were coming by constantly, cleaning up shells, moving barrels. Had a good vibe.
Yeah, we had a really fun time. It was all our first time there. Everybody was good spirits, beautiful weather. Can't beat it. Blowing stuff up.
And there was a good mix of people there. So they had, obvious first-time people, families. We had one family. It was a wife, a dad, 2 daughters, and a son, and they were all using the same shotgun. And they were just going around each target. And obviously, teaching weapon safety is like one of my number one things. I absolutely love it. And it's just good to see families out doing stuff, buddies, like you said, a corporate outing. So people that may have never touched a gun before, and they have an instructor with them.
I probably said it a dozen times today. I didn't say this part. I was very athletic up until the recent surgery, but I will lose my mind golfing. I hate golf. I can't
love golf.
Stand it.
I love golf.
It is one of the few sports that I'm terrible at. And I will spend all of my money on shooting rather than golf. But that's just me.
You spend more money shooting for sure.
No. All those golf balls you lose and clothes you need, the clubs, for God's sakes.
Oh, God, there's a lot of COP in that. I got to get that out of there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Look at that. That's what you love to see.
Yep.
That's what your drill instructor hates to see.
You do that
Carbon.
until it's clean.
There's too much light, but there it is. You see that dark?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if I should turn the light down. You think we're too blowed out? Yeah.
I don't know.
They can see two super white.
You're the pro here.
We can see two super white guys for a minute. That's fine. It's almost night vision for you guys. But we need the light so we can see the guns.
Yeah, I'm going to do one more through each one of these barrels, and I think it's going to be good.
Wow, this thing catches quite a bit.
A lot. Again, I think it was the shot I was using because it was high velocity, which is just a little bit more gunpowder.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Just getting in there. So something I like to do, especially on rifles, is I love to go brass brush and then soft brush.
Yep.
Brass brush first, get all the hard stuff, and don't wipe it right away.
Let it set. Let it break everything up.
and then put that soft brush in there. And these are so easy. There's very little spots to clean, so you can
It's
really
not any crazy nooks and crannies.
so you can really pay attention to the spots that you're doing.
Yep.
And they like to go different directions, like go in the directions that the metal moves, and then kind of go against it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Look at this. Look at this now. Brand new.
Rainbows.
Brand new.
Rainbows, baby.
Practically.
Love it.
Yep. All right. So boar snake is done. I'm going to put the chokes back in after I wipe them down a little bit.
Nervous? You nervous about getting married or what?
No, I'm not nervous. I'm honestly just, it's been a year of planning and I'm just tired of extra project management because that's my day job. I'm kind of just ready to go on the honeymoon and be done with it.
Well, that's good. You guys seem like you guys are the well-adjusted couple. You're not like freaking out. Nobody's a bride or groomzilla.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
I'm fully mentally prepared to just really let go and just enjoy whatever occurs on that day, or, you know, if bad things happen, you know, address it, but just kind of let whatever's going to happen.
Even bad things, even if the bad things happen, you got to roll with them.
Oh yeah.
You know, it rained on my wedding day.
That's apparently good luck.
Apparently, they only say that so you won't freak out.
Yeah, so the bride doesn't freak out. Now, is this the right rag?
The microfiber. I mean, I would personally, best thing ever, cotton white T-shirt. And I like white because I can see where and I keep like a clean side and a dark side, because then after a while, like the carbon doesn't get it on anything, and when it's too dirty, you just throw it away.
Yep.
The microfiber is not bad, especially because this is polishing. It's just hard to see what's coming off. And if there is a dark spot, that's the only reason I would go white. But dude, this thing is so clean.
It's brand new.
It's not doing anything.
Yeah, it's brand new.
Plus, you take your brushes when you're done, and that's the best thing to take your brushes, get a CLP on them, and then just rub them on the rag, stuff the rag back in its hole.
And I keep my choke tubes like greased up on the outside just so they're easy to thread on and off. But inside, just CLP and nice and clean. I'm
excited to see when we post this if there's any like gun
enthusiasts.
I wanted to say Nazis, but gun aficionados are like, oh Jesus, you never do that. And it's like, well, I mean, the gun shoots just fine, man.
In my mental image of cleaning a gun is CLP bath, brush, and white. That's about it. Super simple. This hinging mechanism and everything really needs to get brushed because I greased this.
Right here?
I greased this, and honestly, I'm gonna let some CLP sit on this for a while.
And that stuff goes a long way, man. CLP, it stands for clean, lubricates, protects. There's different formulas. The military has always called it CLP. Some people call it like just gun lubricant.
Yeah.
But it does those three things. It cleans, it lubricates, it protects. Oh, you can use this one if you need to get the crannies. So I haven't used the side yet.
You got all in here?
On the inside. Go ahead and inspect it.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, I missed a spot there for the wipe. I didn't get the wipe on that, but you're going to that spot on this side that I didn't quite wipe off with the rag. Yeah.
These Q-tips are, well, oh, I see. Yeah.
That's the spot.
Yeah.
But it's not dark.
You need the round
but
one
see,
for this
but
one.
see where he wiped, he got any dark. No, that means I did a good job. My drill instructor would be proud. Your brother was a trip. I liked him.
He is the jack of all trades and master of none. Even though he beat us all today.
Yeah, he did.
So I guess he's still the master.
What gun was he shooting?
870. So he was the one that got me to get my 870 because I inherited my grandfather's Franke 20 gauge.
Oh, nice.
It's a bird gun designed by the same guy that designed the Madus. So
Really?
the Modus, as you know, the barrel
Moves.
recoils
Yeah, slightly.
all the way back, so that opens up the breech, and then your round ejects.
Right.
Um,
It's an ingenious design. The bolt itself is insanely intricate, and you need basically a college education to take that apart and put it back together.
Yeah.
I would never take apart a Modus bolt without taking a class on it. I'm not an armorer, but the genius of that design is that you can shoot a lot and not have to do a whole lot of maintenance cleaning, as long as the parts that move are
Right.
clean.
well,
That
that's the same with every gun, too.
Yeah.
But-
that bolt is made in such a way that it doesn't gunk up.
Yeah. But it was a tiny little bird gun, and it really wasn't meant for
So
me.
wait, it has headspace and timing, then, right? Or no, maybe not, because it's not a semi-automatic.
No, yeah. It was
Semi-automatic,
no, it was a semi-automatic.
Okay. Well, and the Modus has a headspace and timing where you have to.
I don't
It
know
has,
what that is.
okay, so when the like, because the barrel moves,
Yeah.
you have to. It has to be clicked into position. You have to get 7 clicks, and then you have to check the headspace and timing. There's a tool that comes with it that has
So
to.
it's like a compensator on the end of
Exact. It has to be the correct distance.
Again, it's not rifle.
Okay.
So
yeah, so it doesn't matter.
But when I got it, it's a beautiful tiny little bird gun from my grandfather. I was like, I'll hang it on the wall. I'm not going to use it. So I was going to see my brother. He was living out in Colorado at the time, and I brought it with me. We were going to go shooting and hunting and all sorts of stuff. And we brought it to a range, and I had 2.75-inch 20 gauge shells, 2 3/4 either way. We noticed it wasn't ejecting. Like, you'd fire and the shell would just get hung up every time. We couldn't really figure it out, but I go, all right, well, it's not working. I can't take this anywhere. Like, it's not any good to me. So my brother and I go to Bass Pro Shop with the arrangement that he was going to buy me a brand new 870, and he would take the bird gun and figure out what was wrong with it. He's a mechanical engineer. He could figure it out and have it. That's when we figured out it was Modus style and the barrel's going, and we needed special shells for it. So he's got a beautiful gun. I got one that'll last forever, like this one. But yeah, he was the one that was like, all right, if you buy any gun right now to go shooting that you need, it's what, $350 for $500 for an 870. It'll last a lifetime.
My 20 gauge at the time, $250.
Right.
For a pump action 20 gauge bird gun. 20 gauge is meant for a bird gun, usually for kids. I've had no problems with it. I shoot slugs through mine, rifled slugs, which you can actually shoot about 100 yards and still be accurate. Because the rifling is actually on the slug, it acts like it's coming out of a rifle to an extent, not the same, but it gives a little spin for stability. And it's because if you know how like a Minet ball works, or how
What is a
slugs,
Minet ball?
Oh, they commonly referred to as the mini ball.
Yeah.
But
okay. So old fashioned flintlock.
Yeah. So it's got that what's known as a Diablo shape, where it's kind of like a pellet, like like a pellet gun pellet.
Yeah. So
it's got a Diablo shape.
Arrowhead.
It's very aerodynamic. So it self corrects in the air, but it does move. It has some pitch and yaw to it, but for the most part, it stays.
This is very gunky right here.
Oh, I didn't get the outside, man. I'm sorry. I was more worried about the inside.
Yeah, I got every one of them.
Well, so this is the so this is like the edge.
Yeah, that you want to take
the flat edge on the inside
of right here.
That's where it's going to meet the elements the most. Or just spray some on a Q-tip.
Nah, I'm gonna get it wet.
You're gonna get it wet. Wet cleaning, dry cleaning. I'm sure you guys, those of you that take care of guns, there's a wet clean and a dry clean.
So again, I'm just gonna let that sit again for a minute. We'll go back to the barrel.
Now that we've had that sit for a minute.
Yep. I'm gonna brush this down.
You gonna do metal brush first?
No.
Not really. That one's not that bad. It's usually the interior components, the ones that get pushed on the most, that have the most contact with the kinetic medium. I'm using this make myself
kinetic medium.
Kinetic medium, aka the shot.
Ooh.
Is that a hair
from the brush?
You got a brush piece stuck in
there. I gotta go that way with it. There we go.
Common thing that happens. You brush in the direction of a crease that's very tight. That's the cool thing about guns. And if you're not comfortable with them, I mean, they all the pieces that fit together. Like when you buy a cheap gun, what somebody would call a cheap gun. Like I have a high point 9mm, cheaply made gun. It's not machined to a specification that is very precise.
Tight.
It's not tight, so it's a little wobbly. Things clank, 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 and it's very chunky. So it works, but you have to clean the shit out of it a lot.
Yeah.
And in order to take that apart, that's what that tool is for that I had in my pocket. This thing, you actually have to have this tool to take a high point.
That was for your
apart.
9?
The 9mm clean.
That's why I didn't come out.
No, I'm not going to take that thing out. But
you from the 870 choke.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't.
So work. You have to take. Hey.
Michelle can marry us.
Oh.
I can.
You're online ordained. It doesn't count.
It does.
Nuh-uh.
No, it does.
We got told by the clerk it doesn't count.
Okay, they said that, but there's actually an injunction right now that said that somebody challenged it to the court. So as of right now, it will be grandfathered in because they haven't made the decision in the court yet. Yeah.
Has anyone ever been married by 2 parishioners?
Let's put it this way. Yes, and there's a law passed, or at least I don't know if it was executive order or whatever, but there was a law passed that said anybody that's ordained online, and it was very specific to online, and it was very nebulous. But it said if you were ordained online, you can't marry people. But then there was an injunction that said, hey, you can't do that. So right now, the law is still on the books, as far as I know, unless I'm gonna have to double check on it because it's been like a couple months. But unless that injunction has been released, every person that gets married by an online or ordained person, it will still count. And then when the law goes into effect, it's just going to go through. By the way, here's another thing. If you are getting married by an online ordained person, it actually technically doesn't matter because the state's not going to go and check their credentials.
I didn't think so.
They're not. They don't have the manpower. If you go to your county clerk.
Did I tell you who our officiant is?
Who?
My old rugby coach from Birmingham. So he's awesome. He was there for our first date, which is the Birmingham Rugby Ugly Sweater Christmas Party. And Ivy showed up and said, oh my God, these guys are just like Marines. And everyone loved her. I loved her. And it's been nothing but great stuff since. And then he was there for the proposal that was after a game on the 50-yard line
ish. For those of you that don't watch rugby.
And I was like, dude, got to finish the job now. Just get us married too. Bring it home.
So if you go to a counter and they ask who your officiant is, it doesn't ask them what organization they were ordained through. So that's actually part of the challenge of the law is like, well, how are you going to vet all of these?
Who is the
person that's going to go through and say, did this person get ordained through an accredited university, theology, or a ministry? It doesn't really matter. And by the way, so in many states, and I've looked this up, I've been ordained for like 8 or 9 years now, 7, 8 years. And when I looked it up, it's like basically saying, yeah, you can't be ordained online and it has to be from a ministry, but we don't check. And they're not going to ask.
Which is ridiculous.
So in the state of Iowa, for instance, they are very open. They don't care. You just have to say you don't even have to say what denomination they are.
Wow.
You just say, well, yeah, this person's the officiant.
How does that make you feel? Were you raised religious at all?
Not quite. I was actually raised in, it was very loosey-goosey kind of non-denomination. We did go to church a lot when I was young. And then after we left my dad in jail, we didn't go to church that much afterwards.
Know about that.
And then when I was in like 13, 14, I crashed my bike outside of a Lutheran church. And then I decided to go in, and then it was the pastor's first day, and I took it as a sign. And
that sounds like a miracle to me.
I got baptized in that church, and I really enjoy the Lutheran point of view. But since then, believe it or not, after not just talking with my buddy Lehman, who is Catholic, but also I went to mass here in Hendersonville, the big Lady of the Lake, with my buddy Gino. Oh man,
wow,
it's broke it up, yeah. And a modern Catholic mass is almost indistinguishable from a non-denominational mass. It's just there's a lot more liturgy, and liturgy just means the practice of worship, and it has certain rules and certain traditions and ceremony. It's ceremony. Liturgy is the ceremony. So I'm actually finding a lot of mostly because there's so many Catholic scholars from the past that I really enjoy their point of view. So I'm really leaning towards, I'm not saying I'm a Catholic by any means. I'm not going to, take that, but I'm enjoying a lot of the Catholic point of view recently. So it's kind of like in my the reason, in my personal opinion on how religion works and how Jesus came to be. You don't need a church. The church is supposed to be organic. The church is supposed to be a, you know,
It's a
community.
to me the church, or well, all right. Actually, continue. I'll follow up when you get your points out, because
I'm almost done.
I went to a private Catholic high school.
Okay. So the church is supposed to be a community. It's supposed to be a bunch of people that live in the same, and I say specifically, live in the same place, hold the same type of values. They send their kids to the same place, shop in the same place. And that is what is the basis of the community. Now, in today's age where everything is more disconnected, but supposedly more connected through the internet, community is, that word has been thrown around to be just a collection of people, which I don't necessarily agree with as a concept, but a community nonetheless. So that being said, I don't think going to church makes you a Christian.
Oh, no.
You don't have to go to church to be a Christian. You don't have to go to church to pray. But I do find that in leisure, by the way, and this is a big point in Pieper's paper, and this is my last point, that church worship itself in a church is the highest form of liberal work. Is the highest
Okay.
because the ceremony of church is useless.
No.
In Piper's definition of useless is to say it's only for its own sake. The sake of going to church is for its sake, and it only benefits itself. So in Islam, it's very specifically for the sake of keeping in the tenets of Islam. Going to church is a useless thing that only perpetuates Islam. In Catholicism, the same thing. Going to a Catholic mass perpetuates Catholicism.
Yes.
No, I don't mean useless that it's not used for anything. It's in the Pieper sense of uselessness, of leisure, of meditation, because it doesn't do anything except do the worship.
Right.
No. So what were you going to say?
I was raised Catholic,
Mhm.
and then my parents separated, and then my mom went to the Christian side.
Okay.
When I went into high school, it was a private all boys high school in Chicago, Catholic League. So everyone there was for athletics,
Right.
and some had scholarships
Because they have the best athletics.
Yeah. And
church schools always have the best athletics.
And we had a theology class all 4 years. We had mass once a month. That was 3 hours long.
Only once a month.
Well, it was 3 hours long. So you have a whole mass, then you have awards and speeches and all sorts of stuff.
So like smells and bells.
I learned how to sleep sitting up in a pew. And
Pope Benedict. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What I learned in high school was that the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, all of these different religions have stories that are uncannily similar.
Yeah.
There are ancient texts.
Well, Islam is notably a copy of Christianity, and not a. It's almost like, in a way, somebody told somebody else, and that's who the person that wrote it down heard it from. So it's like a third-hand telling. Then there's a lot of inaccuracies. If you take the Christian text as the gospel, as I do, Islam kind of gets a lot of that wrong, and some of the details are wrong. Yes, they share a lot of things canonically.
So what I learned was that in each religion, everyone was saying, we're right, you're wrong. Yeah. And I go, well, y'all are saying the same stuff. So why are you arguing? Beyond that, as to your point again, it's not about going to church or what you're reading. It's about what you practice, who you are as a person, what you do every day.
It's about work.
So I went to mass so much. I'm like, I got it. I get it. I'm good. I don't want to spend a half day every Sunday coming here and listening to this jamoke that diddles little boys.
I mean, not all,
but it is a fact. And it just really rubbed me the wrong way in way too many ways for that person to say they were doing things the right way and I wasn't, or follow them because they know what's right. And I go, no one knows what happens after we go. And if you do, you're full of shit.
No, you have to believe. You have to have faith. That's the point. And to your point, that's what I'm saying. What do you mean to know?
I know the word believe, faith, and
You can know in the biblical sense. To
I
know.
think that's their hook to come to their church.
Yeah,
and that's
in,
how they come.
in modernity. Yes, I would say.
So
Yeah.
again, I disagree. It's about how you practice who you are as a person day to day, not what God you're praying to.
Now, to take your point, I will say that when I was going to that Lutheran church, I was going for about a year, and I asked Pastor Gary Stevenson. I hope he's still around, and maybe he'll see this.
You would leave a. Oh, I'm not listening to this. Do you know who this is?
No,
This is that kid with the wings at the park and all the makeup and everything. That's this kid.
he sounds good.
He's very good, but it's all auto tune, I think.
Well, yeah. So to Beau's point, I personally, when I was going to the Lutheran church, I asked it to be baptized, and he's like, "Hey Tyler, do you want to maybe do catechism? Do you want to do anything like that?" I'm like, "No, I because at this time I was 14 years old, and I was like, I understand the concept of communion. I understood all of it, and I explained it to him, and he goes, "Okay, it sounds like you have a grasp of it." He's like, "But I would like you to do maybe one-on-one with me, and just have some conversations." Because there is a in Catholicism, there's definitely a catechism process. It's a whole school that you go to basically.
Yep.
You basically get a degree in Catholicism almost when you're young.
Absolutely.
Apart from christening is different. Christening is you're giving your child's soul to the Lord, and then hopefully when they grow up, they will become baptized of their own free will, and that's the free will portion of Christianity, which I really love personally. And I understand it's muddied and a lot of it's ceremonial today, and but I was baptized, and by the way, my family was very they were very receptive to it. When I was like, "Hey mom, I'm gonna get baptized next Sunday, if you want to come," they said that can come, and they all got excited. My cousins, my aunt, uncles, everybody came out.
That's awesome.
And I felt like really supported. Community. And that was one of the few times I felt like super supported. They gave me gifts, and I was like, "You don't have to give me gifts."
And you know what? When you have nothing but positivity around it, I'll never knock it ever. But for me personally, like my mom, like I said, she's still a devout practicing Christian that wants me to do church. She doesn't push the envelope at all, but she does say, "Oh, I wish you'd come with us." And do your own thing. Don't push it on other people. If you enjoy talking about this stuff, you enjoy talking about guns, and it keeps your hands busy and staying out of trouble. That's what I'm more interested in, is healthy outlets, living life, and being good to other people.
Do you maybe what you said, keeping hands busy, made me think of Kant, another philosopher who, he's the one that came up with idle hands are the devil's playground.
That's where I'm referencing.
But I find that the only flaw in that logic is that is the term idle is not necessarily a positive negative thing. It's not idle is not negative, and that's where I was talking about Pieper when he talks about meditation, when he talks about leisure. Leisure very much is being idle in the sense of not moving, being in one place.
It's more
being
about
present.
Your mental state of calm and comfortable. Because I can sit in a lawn chair on a beach and be calm and comfortable, or I could say I just have anxiety about work, about the amount of money to get me to the beach. I can worry about what I got to do when I get back to work. Get back to work. All of those things. And a lot of people say my faith keeps me calm. No, that is you, yourself, and you that keeps you calm.
I think
when you read any book, if that keeps you calm.
Yeah.
The Bible, Quran.
I think those two things are actually the same thing. It's just that it's in the context in which you put those two things together. So
speaking of putting two things together.
Put two things together.
All right, so this goes right here.
There's a swivel.
Yeah, all right, let me get the light here.
So to be calm, and when the Christian sense of being calm is like when you were talking about bills, there it is.
Sexy.
And when you're calm in your faith, in the Christian sense, you're calm because you know that God has a plan and it's going to be okay. And I think that's the distinction that I'm trying to make, is when you say to be calm, to know that everything's going to be okay. Yes, you can have anxiety about that, but to know you got to let that anxiety go at a certain point. I didn't mean to make this a
Or religious.
What happens? It happens.
Yeah.
And that's
politics and
that's what the
religion.
tavern is for. The tavern is to drink and to be merry and to have conversations and to talk. And I just dropped my cigar.
I am super happy with how clean these are. Let's pack this up. I'm gonna roll everything up and clean up.
Ladies are coming out.
Come join the
Yes.
podcast.
Beautiful. Loving it.
I haven't even finished this one.
I didn't know you needed one.
Thank you, baby.
Do you have any yours?
It's recording for later.
There might be later.
All right.
So as we pack it up, this has been awesomely great. We're probably going to go inside and have some more leisure and drink and be merry and talk. But this has been Tavern Talk with Tyler and Beau. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
I don't know if I'm feeling the inside. It's too nice to be inside.